What is the quotient if we're going to divide 20a²b³ by 4ab? Is it letter A, 5ab², or letter B, 5a²b, or letter C, 5a³ to the fourth power, or letter D, 5a to the fourth power b³? What is your answer?
Hi there, I'm Jason, and you're watching
Jason Learn!
So in order for you to answer this particular question correctly and directly, you must be familiar with the concept of the division of monomials. So actually, this lesson is just an extension of the lesson about the laws of exponents. So I've already uploaded a video about that, about the laws of exponents. So you must watch that first before watching this video so that it would be easier for you to understand and learn this lesson. So let's try to divide this given 20a²b³ by 4ab. So why am I calling this monomials? Because let's recall that when we talk about monomials, so these are polynomials which only have one term. So just like 20a²b³ and 4ab, so these two are two polynomials, particularly two monomials because they are one-termed polynomials. So we're just gonna divide them. So all we just need to do is to divide the numerical coefficient of the dividend by the numerical coefficient of the divisor as well as their variables. So the variables of the dividend by the variables of the divisor. So how are you gonna do that? So 20 divided by 4, that's 5. So unahan mo divide ang ilang numerical coefficients. And then a² divided by a, that's so a 2 minus 1 because diba based on the laws of exponents, we have to subtract their exponent. So we're going to subtract the exponent of the dividend by the exponent of the divisor. So 2 minus 1. And you also have to take note that if there is no written exponent in a particular variable, that simply indicates that the exponent is 1. So it's already understood that the exponent is 1. So it's a common sense already. Hang 1 ang iyang exponent if it's not written. So or if the exponent is not written. And then, so b³ divided by b. So that's b 3 minus 1. The exponent of b is 1. And then we're just gonna simplify them. So copy 5. And then a 2 minus 1, that's 1. So we're not gonna write 1 anymore. So although 2 minus 1 is 1, so dili na nato isuwat si 1 kaya that's already understood naman. So it's a common sense. And then b squared. So therefore, the answer for this particular exercise or this particular problem is 5ab². So this is our final answer. So that is just how easy to answer or to divide monomials. So therefore, the answer for the question of the day is letter A, 5ab². Now, let's try more examples for you to understand this concept deeply. Now, what about if we're gonna divide 10c to the 6th power d to the 5th power by 5c³ d²? So again, we're going to divide them. So we are just going to divide first their numerical coefficient. So 10 divided by 5, that's 2. And then c to the 6th power divided by c³. So that's gonna be c to the 6th power, so minus 3. And then d to the 5th power divided by d², so that's gonna be d, so 5 minus 2. So again, that's just basically the rules when you're going to divide variables. That's the laws of exponents all about. And then let's just gonna simplify them. So let's copy 2. So 6 minus 3, that's 3, so c cube. And then d, so 5 minus 2, that's 3 also, so d cube. So therefore, the answer for this particular problem is 2c³ d³. Alright, now let's try more examples. Let's divide 16m³ n to the 5th power by 20m² n². So as what you can see, the numerical coefficient of the dividend is lesser than the numerical coefficient of the divisor. So how are we gonna do that? So saan naman po na nato siya pag-solve? So solution, we're going to find a number that can both divide the dividend as well as the divisor. So the GCF of 16 and 20 is 4, right? So we're gonna divide 16 by 4 and 20 by 4. So 16 divided by 4, that's 4, and then 20 divided by 4, that's 5. And then we're gonna simplify their variables, the exponents of their variables. So copy m, 3 minus 2, and 5 minus 2. So, and then we're going to simplify these further. So this becomes copy 4/5, and then m, 3 minus 2, that's m. So 1. 1 naman ana, 3 minus 2, that's 1. So we're not going to write 1 anymore. And then n, 5 minus 2, that's 3. So n cube. And then you're going to look at the exponents of these variables. If the exponents are all positive, then we're going to write that in the numerator. So ito pa na nato siya sa numerator ng numerical coefficient, which is 4. So final answer would be 4mn cube over 5. So this is the final answer for this particular question. So again, if the exponents of the variables are all positive, just like this. So the exponent of m is positive 1, and then exponent of n is positive 3. So we're gonna write all of these two variables in the numerator. Otherwise, so if negative ang exponents ana, we're gonna write that in the denominator. Okay. Now let's try more examples. Let's try to divide 50r squared s to the 7th power by 60 r to the 5th power s to the 4th power. So again, we're going to look for the GCF of 50 and 60. So that's basically 10, right? So we're going to divide each of these numbers by 10. So 50 divided by 10, that's 5. And then 60 divided by 10, that's 6. And then r, the exponent of the dividend, so 2 minus the exponent of the divisor, 5, and then s to the 7th power, so minus 4. And then we're gonna simplify these further. So copy 5 over 6 r, so 2 minus 5, that's negative 3. And then s, 7 minus 4, that's 3, so positive 3. So as what I've said, when the exponent is positive, so we're going to write that in the numerator. However, if the exponent is negative, I'm referring to the exponent of the variables. If the exponent of the variable is negative, so we're gonna write that variable in the denominator, and then we're gonna change the variable from negative to positive. So just like this. So we're gonna copy 5 over 6, and then we're gonna write s cubed in the numerator because the exponent is positive. And then the exponent of r is negative 3. So we're going to write that in the denominator. However, we're going to change its sign to positive. So mahimo na siyang positive. From negative 3, that becomes positive 3. So this is the answer for this particular exercise. Now let's try more for you to understand this concept better. Let's try to divide 30x to the 6th power by y to the 5th power z by 5x to the 6th power y to the 7th power. All right. Now, okay, let's try to divide their numerical coefficients first. So 30 divided by 5, it's 6. And then x to the 6th power minus, okay, 6. And then y, 5 minus 7. And then just write z. So wala may pares si z sa denominator. So we're just gonna copy that. And then we're going to simplify these variables. So the exponents of these variables. So copy 6. X, 6 minus 6, that's 0. So that's going to be x to the power of 0. And then y, 5 minus 7, that's negative 2. And then just copy z. And you have to take note, you have to recall that according to the different laws of exponents, when the exponent of the variable is 0, so that indicates that its value is 1. So as long as the value of x is not equal to 0. So if the exponent of the variable is 0, so that simply indicates that it is equal to 1. So 6, and then the value of x to the power of 0, so that is just equal to 1. So 6 times 1, and then copy y to the power of negative 2, and then z. So 6 times 1, that's just 6. So i-copy natin si z in the numerator because its exponent is positive, and then we're gonna write that this y to the power of negative 2 in the denominator because its exponent is negative and changing its negative sign to positive. So therefore, the answer for this particular question is 6z over y squared. So that's it. This is how easy to solve or to divide monomials. Now let's try more exercises. What about this? What if the exponents of the variables are negative, nadaan, and then we're gonna divide it by monomial, which also have variables with negative exponents. So let's try to divide 8u to the power of negative 3, v to the power of 5, w to the power of negative 6 by 24, u to the power of negative 6, v to the power of negative 2, w to the power of negative 3. So again, we're going to divide the numerical coefficients first. So 8 divided by 24. So what is their GCF? So the GCF of 8 and 24 is just 8, right? So we're going to divide 8 divided by 8, and then, so that's 1. 24 divided by 8, that's 3. And then for their variables, so u copy u, negative 3 minus negative 6. So you also have to consider writing parentheses, because if some of the students failed to do this, so they forgot to write the parentheses, and you just simply write negative 3 minus 6, which is wrong because the exponent of the divisor is negative. So you had to write a parenthesis so that it would also somehow give you a hint, and para dili pisad mo malipat that the negative of the divisor is, I mean the exponent of the divisor is a negative exponent. And then v 5 minus negative 2, and then w negative 6 minus negative 3. So let's gonna simplify this further. So copy 1/3, u negative 3 minus negative 6, so that's positive 3. So u cube, and then v5 minus negative 2, so that's v to the power of 7, and then w to the power of negative 6 minus negative 3, so that's negative 3. And then we're going to simplify them further, so this becomes u cube v to the power of 7, so all over 3w cubed. So nga na naman yung nawala naman si 1, so it's unnecessary to write 1 anymore, whether that is in the numerator or in the denominator, because if we're gonna simplify that, so 1 times u cube, so that's u cube, and then times b to the power of 7, so that's u cube b to the power of 7. So mawala na jud na si 1 ana. And then since the exponent of w is negative, so we're gonna write that in the denominator. So therefore, this is the final answer for this particular question. So nga na siya ka dali. Now what about this one? Would like to insert this because although it is common sense and it's very easy, some of the students fail to answer this correctly as well. So 42 w to the 5th power, or to the power 5 x cubed y to the power of 6 by 42 w to the power 5 x cubed y 6. So remember that when you are going to divide a monomial by itself, so the answer is just equal to 1. So this is the final answer for this particular question. So 1 na automatically, no need for extra solutions for that. So again, if we're going to divide a monomial by itself, so the answer is just 1 na siya. So some of the students I have tutored before failed to answer this particular this similar question. So marong pa sila, maglibog pa sila nga ni. Although that's already it's a common sense, it's already it's basic and it's very easy. So I just want to insert this for you to be aware of this concept example. Okay, now that's just basically how you divide monomial. So that's just how easy it is to divide monomial. Sayon na siya kaayo. Now this time I want you to try this one. So try to divide 18b c cubed d squared by 27b squared c cubed d squared, and then you may comment your answer in the comment section below. That's all for now. Thank you, more power, and let's keep learning.